Welcome back to the PCS as we begin the second half of the day on game number 4. Alpha Esports has a tough road ahead of them, and it all starts here against J-Team. That is also playing their second game. Before we go into the matchup, a big thank you to our sponsors. As you can see in the bottom here, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. You guys make the PCS rock. Now, coming back into this one, Alpha Esports, they do have that sole win against Liap, but after that single bright spot, it's also been sort of downhill from there. I can commend them for having a rather close game against Berjaya, but how is Alpha Esports going to round out the day against two teams that are much higher than them in the rankings?
Yeah, they're going to be taking on J-Team, who this is also their second game in a doubleheader here. And then they also have Boom at the end of the day. So taking on the third and fifth team here is definitely a tall task. And if they're looking for wins against those two teams, it has to start with, of course, the mid-jungle duo of K-Babe and Xiaotu. The two players without player cams are the key to success when it comes to both of these games.
You know, after today, when a player doesn't have player cams, I think the only image that comes to my mind is the stream. That's what I'm going to imagine. I can't even think of Xiaotu's face. It's just the stream. It's just the scream. But I like exactly what you pointed out here. Most of the teams these days are taking Xiaotu's LeBlanc away from him. They don't want him to get his best champion. And that really does stall the team down. That seems to be their go-to strategy and, frankly, their only strategy. We did have On with the pop-up performance on Aphelios split, but that seems to be as far as the arsenal goes so far. Taipei J-Team, on the other hand, they did have a pretty tough loss against Machi today. Really strong early game, but unfortunately were out-executed in the later portions, and they look extremely serious coming into this one. This is a must-win for them, of course.
Rest had a good performance in the previous game, but unfortunately the rest of the team wasn't quite able to keep up with him. This time around, they'll hopefully be able to get a more flexible composition, but it is going to be the jungle matchup that is highlighted. Remember, K-Babe is playing on a team that's pretty low in the standings, so the KDA comparison, not really fair, but all the other numbers line up fairly comparatively, except for that number at the end, of course. Again, his team does struggle, so they're more likely to die if he's not there.
Yeah, first blood participation, only 11%. That's extremely low for a jungler, but also in the grand scheme of things, this is a team that does suffer a lot of just laning deaths. So that's, you know, it's not always on the jungler for that, but it could be better. We have seen in general, Alpha Esports does come out quite sluggish. They're on average 2,300 gold behind at 15 minutes. Only one time out of their games did they actually manage to secure the first tower of the game. So that's a pretty good idea of what their early game looks like. They are a team to me that tries to come back with hero plays and a lot of death brushes from Xiaotu and K-Babe. So if you like two-man death brushes, if you like surprises or jump scares, then Alpha Esports is the team for you.
Yeah, Alpha, they're definitely a team that plays more for kills rather than the objectives. It also makes this team very difficult to put away when it comes to the late game, because they do take a lot of random positions when it comes to jungle or making moves cross map. So teams do have to be a little bit weary of them when they do try and close this team out, as they will try a lot of random fights to swing things back in their favor. However, that also means that they tend to throw away a lot of leads that they are able to get whenever they have advantages. Sometimes they just take, again, a random fight and toss it all away.
True, we have seen quite a fair share of those. J-Team back to their old tricks by picking up the Ziggs. Seems to be a favorite of little V's so far. And taking a look at the bans right here, Alpha Esports definitely don't want Gwen to go on to rest, while on the other end, we do have your very common two-punch ban against K-Babe and Xiaotu, the Viego and LeBlanc being taken out. Alpha, I do like the priority for Zinzao over Olaf. Thank you so much. This is no, I was getting very heartbroken watching Dodoy and K-Babe take Olaf over Zinzao, but I think Zinzao definitely takes precedence here. And then we have a really nice rounding out of the first round of drafts here with the Aphelios and Thresh. This is probably the most standard draft that I have seen from Alpha Esports in a very long time.
Getting the Thresh Aphelios lane is going to be somewhat nice as a duo. However, they are playing into the Leona Ziggs, a very difficult lane to play against. And we've seen, while Aphelios was a very, very strong champion at the beginning of the split, most of that comes from the fact that there were a lot of melee or low range compositions to play against. Now teams are adapting. They're playing more Varus, they're playing more Ziggs. All of a sudden this bot lane range is just getting longer and longer, and you're starting to see Aphelios struggle in some of these matchups.
Yeah, Aphelios versus Ziggs isn't that favorable of a matchup for him. Very difficult for him to escape the Mega Infernal Bomb, and also just gets outranged, but still incredibly strong when it comes to team fights. I'll be honest, if I'm not looking at any of the IDs, I'm almost going to like automatically slam down the W for Alpha Esports. Like, oh geez, these picks are so beautiful. They're S tier picks through and through. You've got the Zin, he's SS plus tier, and then you got the late game insurance, everything. And it's like, and then on the other side you have Trundle, and it's like, well, Alpha Esports, there you go. But snapping back to reality, in all honesty, Ziggs and Trundle are not too bad. Are not bad champions holistically on 11.14. It's just my experience being tainted by what I've seen in the PCS that has led me to this conclusion. However, as we go on to the draft, we do have J-Team throwing a lot of bans towards the, could be the mid lane once more, taking away the Silas and the Set. We don't have that much data on Xiaotu's champion pool. He is new this split, but it seems like J-Team is focusing him down quite heavily. Yeah,
it looks like they're trying to either strip away his pool or take away some of the safer picks for 3Z as well. Going into this second phase, missions Arise also taken away here. And we'll have to see what this first pick will be. Does it go top lane or mid? And it will be a top lane blind pick, Camille. This is with Irelia still up available, and it really just tells me that 3Z just doesn't have the champ pool to punish Rest, or at the very least, he feels very, very confident in this matchup.
Don't say that, 9-star. I trust in you, 3Z. Remember your glory days. You were at international events before Rest was even on stage. So let's go, 3Z. Get the counter pick. This Karma's probably going mid, so I'm going to disregard that. But come on, 3Z. You can do it. Don't let other top laners walk over you.
I'm ready to see this Karma head top lane, but we'll have to actually hold off until we see this last pick.
I
one of the big
things.
things.
Played it in spring. I'm not so sure about this one.
Okay, it is going to be Kennen going into the top lane. But back to the Karma, this is a pick that got nerfed on this patch. Took 3 AD nerf to her auto attack. So in lane, it does not feel good to play this champion. I'm interested to see how Xiaotu is able to use this champ. At the very least, you can wave clear relatively well and just play around K-Babe. And to me, this composition from Alpha is really about throwing resources into the side lanes using this Xin Karma duo.
Yeah, I'm looking at the draft, like, if I disregard the IDs, again, it makes sense from Alpha Esports' position, but I'm not sure if you want Xiaotu on utility. That's a big question for me. Maybe they can get over it by just using that early lead that they should be able to establish with Karma Xin and give it, like you said, into the side lanes, especially towards on that Aphelios. That seems to be the bright spot. However, when I look at that Kennen and I look at the enemy team, I honestly just never see this Kennen being able to do anything. Like, it's such a massive obstacle course for him to play. Like, he has to
Yep.
dodge Shockwave, Pillar of Filth, and there's a Hextech Minefield, and also Hextech Ultimatum. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, this Kennen pick, I understand why they went for an AP top laner, because you have Karma in the mid lane. So once you get past the mid game point, her damage drops drastically, and it could also be relatively ineffective mid game as well, depending on the build. If she goes for a more supportive build, which I would like to see, because you do have a hyper carry in Aphelios, and you also can really push this Xin over the edge if you go supportive build for mid game. But this Kennen pick, like, there's no way for him to feasibly access the back line. But one of the big things here when I see this J-Team draft is that they've really reverted away from this solo lane meta, and it's become about this mid-late game team fight draft for them.
Yeah, I think a lot of J-Team fans are probably not liking the sight of Orianna. It's definitely one of those champions where Mission does well in the lane on, but he does kind of have a track record of just disappearing amongst the scramble in the mid to late game. However, I still like J-Team's team comp quite a bit, because it's a very strong 4-1 type of comp. The wave clear is absolutely insane. As long as they don't, like, over-venture across the lane, they should be fine in most instances for Rest to just find the win in the late game. That's my view on their composition. And then again, you can point out that 4-1 is kind of irrelevant in the meta. Like, nobody honestly plays 4-1. So we'll see if J-Team can pilot this one. This should be a rebound game for them after the loss against Machi Esports for sure. But Alpha Esports, they could make things spicy here. That Xin Zhao over Olaf has got me dreaming.
Yeah, this mid-jungle duo is really just the talk of this draft for Alpha. K-Babe, he has to really snowball his advantage. And interestingly enough, Xiaotu is going for a phase rush on his Karma, which is definitely something we don't see on Karmas. Usually you go for Airy just to have the extra poke damage. Or if you're in the support role, you can go for Comet as well. But Airy seems to be the standard, and I guess it signals he wants to go for a more damage-oriented build.
On the flip side, we also have a Predator Trundle.
Yeah, run him down.
I don't think I've seen that one. Usually it's PTA.
Yeah. It's definitely PTA, it especially helps you in the duel against Xin, because not only do you take away his AD stats with your Q, but then with proccing the attack, you just do more damage on your autos. But this Predator, I'm interested if Predator applies on his Pillar, because that could turn his Pillar into a damage spell, because again, it does do 1 true damage, but really, whoever keeps track of that one.
My big question is, if you're taking Predator, does Trundle still beat Xin? I'm actually not sure about it. With PTA for sure, but for me, this Predator is actually more of a gank tool.
Yeah.
Usually the way you play Trundle versus Xin Zhao is you just take the fight to him and you chomp him down, but with Predator, I really feel like it changes the dynamics. I'm pretty sure Xin with Conquerors actually just wins.
Yeah, and with this rune selection, I think he recognizes that Mission isn't going to really be able to help him out a whole lot when it comes to the 2v2. So he's just hoping to try and scale and really try and impact lanes.
Let's go, Predator Trundle, the ganks. Here we go. Get the flash right off the bat from Shung. He's definitely going down. And sorry for doubting you, as that was a pretty decent pathing coming out here. I love what he did right there. On actually skipping over a couple of camps, knowing that he can get back to them, and just surprising Alpha Esports bot lane.
Just in time for Scuttle Crab to spawn. And that's also a gank that happens without Predator boots because he hasn't gone for the recall yet. So we'll see how it changes with Predator, but this is a champ that, again, just runs from lane to lane.
Yeah, I think after the changes, I'm pretty sure Predator was actually changed. Like, it's been a while since we've seen this rune a lot, because it's mainly been full clear meta for quite a while, but I'll read up on that one. As we do see K-Babe now, knowing that Hana isn't in position, is going to get the level lead plus the camp take away. So off to a great start here, and on the flip side, we do see Rest being pushed in quite far as well. So, you know, we have doubted 3Z and his Kennen, but so far he's been having a good time. And Rest is really walking on eggshells here. He doesn't really know where Xin Zhao is. He has his suspicions as we see the pings coming down, but he hasn't spotted him just yet.
And Hana's running straight top. However, this is a very difficult dive to execute because if you look at the summoners, Rest actually took exhaust. So it's really just to survive a lot of this dive pressure. He knows he's the focus in these lane setups, and now a hook.
Oh. And in the bottom lane, we do have the 2v2 starting, but this time On is very low HP, so he is forced away. J-Team's still getting the better side of this trade. And take a look at the pots here. Both sides can still heal up, so it's not that detrimental to either side. But, you know, Sheng, I think, should be the main target right here, as he does not have his flash there. So the AD is going a little bit low, should be fine. On the minimap, we do have Alpha Esports with the ping down correctly on Hana's position. They're very aware that he could be coming in for a repeat gank. In the meantime, we're just taking a look at the setup here from 3Z, getting the push in, but starting to fall behind in the trades just a little. He's losing by about 200 HP here, but you know, so far so good. With that jungle pressure from K-Babe, he does find himself with the 2-wave advantage. As Hana finds himself into the bottom side brush, the 3v3 could be coming, as we did have Alpha Esports correctly pinging out the position here. They don't know where K-Babe is, and Woody is going to start this one off. A great satchel charge coming in by Lil V that gets the instant pickoff, and K-Babe just doesn't get a say in that play.
Yeah, and the terrain control is just immense coming in from the Leona and this... Oh, okay, Rest is able to survive, but the terrain control is insane coming in from Leona and Trundle, and now they're going to try and get more.
Oh, another knockback plus the pillar, and ganking Trundle has found his target. Lil V, this is why you ban the Ziggs away from this guy. He's just a savant on this champion. Really well done.
Yeah, and this is also why you just try and avoid the Ziggs in general at the moment, because his lane pairing with the Leona is just so dominant. You're guaranteed to be able to reposition the stun target in whichever direction you want with that satchel charge, and then you combine that with the terrain coming in from the Pillar of Filth from this Trundle pick. There's just no escape. You get punted back towards J-Team, and then your only way of escape is now blocked by this garbage dump.
By the garbage dump. I love the way that you're talking about Trundle. That used to be Trundle's old story, was that he was like literally kind of filthy. But
I mean, it's a pillar of filth
so much. Yeah. They changed it to an ice pillar, which I guess it's good in the face of global warming and all of that, but man, I just miss my old Trundle where he was falling apart with all these like skin diseases, and he was saving the tribe, and now he's just a playground bully. But getting back into the game, this is going to be a 2v2 with an extra ultimate from K-Babe. The 3Z is in tower range and has to back out first. A great pillar plus exhaust coming down. Rest opening up. Hana doesn't get the chomp down, and K-Babe puts a little bit more damage back onto the duo. Isn't able to finish it. And
a 1v1 kill.
Straight up solo kill.
No way. That just has to come from Mission beating Xiaotu to the punch when it comes to rotation. I can't imagine any other way, but they seem so intent on trying to force this dive. I don't think it's really a good idea from Alpha. Just kidding.
Talking about good ideas,
Wait.
KB would beg to differ as he does die in the end. That was a great pillar.
Yeah.
We'll take another look at how Xiaotu goes down. It's not every day you see Karma die 1v1 against
just no mana.
Orianna, but just full combo, extra back from Mission. Uses the flash too, it slows himself down, and Mission is able to just flash forward to get the kill. So a very extended trade there, and unfortunate for Xiaotu. Initially, he did walk in towards the left side, doesn't have a tower to go towards, and Mission flashes forward to cut off the ramp. So well played there by the Orianna. Very unexpected, but we have seen weirder things happen in the PCS.
I mean, we have a Predator Trundle in this game, Clement. So I think we've already achieved that. But JT off to a roaring start. It's only a 1,000 gold lead, but when you look at the fact that 3Z, he's about to get dove, this could just really balloon.
He doesn't have the ultimate, so no real crowd control left here. Rest does find the kill. Xiaotu gets the leash on and get the kill back. Finally gets it after a little while. And now Hana is in danger of falling just across the minion wave. Gets the tether plus the slowdown. And
that's
it's
going
to look like a 1-for-2 trade at the very end. Hana trying to play cute with the pillar, but it's not going to save him, as a good roam from Alpha makes sure that they don't let 3Z's death go to waste. Now we're going to take a look at the bottom lane here, as Lil V with the range advantage has been harassing down on. Going to get another replay of that one. I love the timing from JT, but unfortunately the roams coming in from Alpha does save the day.
Good roam coming in, teleport comes through, and K-Babe is already on his way up. He drops that blue buff to come straight top lane, and he is rewarded with an extra kill onto this Trundle, as he does get the tag and able to get the finish here. And I mean, it still ends up being a big win for Rest, but oh god, oh lord.
On might still get a clean up kill here, as he does find it. Lil V though
here
could get the clean, and he does find it at the very end. 3-0-2 on Lil V's end. Alpha
Exhaust
opening up onto the top side. Rest going low in the 3v1. Nothing he could do right there. And Alpha are trading sides once more. The bottom lane sort of collapsing. Mission hasn't been participating in any of these trades, but he is getting a lot done in the mid lane.
I love the zoom in.
What happened?
I just love the fact that they zoomed in onto Mission. It was like, what are you doing, buddy? Why are you not leaving mid lane? And Mission's like, I have one job. Take this mid tower. And really, I mean, he really only has one job. That's to scale up. You know, once it hits mid game, he's just a better champion than this Karma. The Karma's on the one on the timer, as we get to see the replay of this play in that bot side. Lil V with the Ziggs, just too good. And once Woody joins in, just immediately ults Shang, and the 1-2 punch coming in from Leona Ziggs is just too strong.
Yeah, very well done. Lil V was basically 1v2ing for the entirety of that one. Even gets a cleanse at the very end. So, Summoners expended by Alpha Esports is going to make them easy pickings later on. And you know, I kind of agree with you about the zoom in there. It's been the topic of the town about should Mission roam or not. Like, is he really that effective on the Orianna if he's farming the entire game? I guess we'll see, as Woody does come in for the gank, dodges out on the slow, and lands everything, actually. Unfortunately for Xiaotu, not able to get away from that one. Also has a Predator waiting for him in the brush, so just no hope of escape. And we do have J-Team now moving the advantages that Lil V has acquired across the map.
Yeah, and one of the changes from
K-Bid going in, I'm not sure about
he's
that
stuck.
one. That
he got subjugated.
Incredibly risky. And Lil V doesn't do any damage, but K-Babe continues to go in and doesn't take it. But on the flip side, able to get into the backline, take 3-0-2 Ziggs down. That's a massive
Mission's
shutdown.
here.
He will pay for it. with his life at the end. And you know, Mission will roam at some times. It's just he has to pick his roams. And Resk does get the cleanup kill once more. Alpha Esports, they expend everything to shut Lil V down, but it does end up being a 3-for-1 trade.
It costs them everything for that one. And I mentioned it pregame, this is a team that lives and dies for kills. So even when they have advantages, they will not stop trying to force the issue, even though it's probably better for them to sit and wait for a better opportunity. They just see Champ and try and kill Champ. And this one just goes south very, very quickly. Hana survives on a sliver HP, and what do you know? Mission's here for the roam, and this time he's able to cash in on a kill. And the important thing is, well, On doesn't have flash for that next team fight. With how much pressure there is, he's just dead, like so.
You're an amazing prophet. Called out the play exactly like how it would happen. I feel like this is the sort of On special. A lot of times we find him a little bit too far out in lane. He doesn't even have a tower behind him, so I honestly am not sure why he is in that position. But yeah, he was there, and J-Team punished him accordingly.
Yeah, you could definitely see him dying maybe another 2 times in before that flash comes back up again too, because of the fact that he has no way to get around the Trundle pillar. He has no escape from this Leona. He only has a cleanse, but that's not going to stop the plethora of stun capabilities coming in from this champion, combined with the satchel charge from the Ziggs. So he's just in trouble for the rest of the time he's waiting for flash.
Let's get the Crescent Guard here, and you know, J-Team are going to use that pick onto On, transfer it into Herald, and this should just be all of the outer towers gone by now. Lil V, even with that single death, he's still so far ahead of the curve, as we just saw on the cold graph there. On's still going to take a while to get back. He is going incredibly low. And as we mentioned, this is a pretty hard team for Alpha Esports to walk up on Hana.
Bye-bye.
Is Trundle actually his best champion? Has he been a secret Trundle main this entire time?
And this is the power of Trundle when it's played correctly. When you do play for the early game and constantly look for gank plays. He's just so oppressive with that pillar, and then it makes it really easy for any follow-up to engage to come through as well. They're going to instantly decimate this tower because of the existence of Ziggs with that Rift Herald. And this is also just using Rift Herald so beautifully in tandem with the Ziggs pick. You can eviscerate towers so quickly.
That was a 3,000 gold push for J-Team just on the top side right there. Amazing stuff. Triple charge Herald opening up the path all the way towards the inhibitor, and 3Z is about to get ambushed here as Rest just goes in on him directly. There is a slicing maelstrom. See if he pops it here. Does get it used, but the exhaust is already on him, and there's nowhere for him to go. Rest might be playing a little bit more here. It is a 1v4, and he is getting over the wall.
He's out.
Nobody is able to chase him.
They get Shang on the back end as well. And they still want to fight.
And he's very under leveled at this point. Could still fall down, but on the flip side, On is just a big juicy target. The stun does come through, and Rest should be able to pick him up here. Thinking about giving the kill over, but nah, Rest is just going to take this one for himself. Xiaotu in the meantime, they're trying to take away the Ocean Drake. I love the idea and the audacity, but I'm sorry, Alpha Esports, that's just not going to work.
Number 1. That was number 1 for effort.
Yeah, that's
J-Team.
A bit of a far-fetched play there.
Yeah, at this point, they're just going to run away with the game. Because again, Alpha, they're just going to continue to look for fights regardless of the gold deficit, which makes for a very fun team to watch, but also a very frustrating team at times when they fall so far behind. 3Z, we're going to see him die again. there's really just no chance for him at this point. Against an Exhaust, which scales so much better than the Ignite, his Summoner choices today have just been exquisite. And then Shang, I mean, you know, he gets left behind by the team, but still, Alpha, with a very weird formation, still want this fight. And I mean, he was gonna die another 2 times. He ends up dying only an extra 1 time before his flash comes up, but it's pretty much the same idea.
Yeah, I like how Rest actually did give Little V a chance. He wasn't trying to steal the kill outright, but Little V missed his satchel, so you can't blame Rest. Yeah. Okay, Rest, that was his kill. That was you got to pick up the slack when your teammates can't find the kills. Okay, and he's going to continue split pushing with another great Trundle pillar. Is forcing out a lot on the end of Alpha. Now 3Z is coming in for the collapse, but it seems like J-Team are able to regroup.
They're just going to bot tower.
And K-Babe is the one actually caught out. Pops the Crescent Guard on a very low on levels, but it doesn't matter. The rest of his team is so incredibly strong. Shung falling low, and 3Z flashes in for the engage. Only gets Woody on that one. And in comes Rest. Shung is already dead. On does have the crescendo, but he is tapped out by Woody once more. Hana chasing him, dropping the pillar behind him. They will find the kill onto the Aphelios. Xiaotu now struggling to survive. He goes down, and Woody with another beautiful engage. That's 3 for 3 on the Zenith Blades. Woody on point today, chasing down targets one by one. And where's K-Babe going?
To the death chamber. I mean, he definitely doesn't win this 1v1 against Exhaust.
He is gonna try though. That was actually pretty close. Without the Exhaust, I think he actually wins.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to the fact that Rest does have this Exhaust, and it just works so wonderfully when it comes to these duel situations. They get themselves a Baron on top of it. And not enough can be said about how well J-Team are playing this game. You saw the Trundle Pillar go down early on, and that's why 3Z goes for that play to try and get a multi-man ult. But because it is the Inferno Rift, there's so much room for J-Team to actually play around. And not to mention, there was just no follow-up coming in from Alpha to take advantage, even if he got a multi-man ult from this cannon.
Also want to point out, JT just had a ton of flashes. So, poor Pikachu. I really don't think this cannon has done much this game, to be honest. And unfortunately, when his engage is difficult to make use of, On also isn't fed enough to be a carry worthwhile protecting at this point. Like he's definitely worth protecting, but he's not really going to allow you to play front to back. Rest does have a 3-man hit squad headed his way. He's going to instantly hook shot out, and that just means the rest of Alpha Esports base is wide open. He's flashing the Teemo emotes because he knows that that was such a worthwhile play for J-Team. They just walk in onto the inhibitors completely unopposed. Finally, we get the full-on engage by K-Babe. They're going to open up on mission, and they do.
That's so much damage to return.
But yeah, Lil V is just too far ahead. He's going to get the double kill back, and Hana is chasing down with the chomp, gets a slowdown, forces the Gale Force. J-Team now working on the Nexus towers. Can hold on just a while longer. Rest is going to go into the fountain, but instantly pop out. Now Woody does get the stun. And a kill does go over to Xiaotu, but the Nexus is already laid bare. We do see Xiaotu and on with the cheeky play, finally getting the shutdown, but it's a little bit too little too late as J-Team do redeem themselves, and Rest can't help but smile at that game. That is Rest smiling. He actually is laughing already. That's a great big gaping smile for Rest by his standards.
J-Team just absolutely ran away with that game. Alpha, you saw the idea behind the K-Babe and Xiaotu duo with the Xin Karma. Just never came to fruition. And this cannon pick, please. Can we just put that away? PCS, please. Just put it in the shelf. Save it for next season. Next season,
Yeah.
maybe it'll be better then. But this is not the time.
Russ was able to blind pick Camille. And, there's a lot of options. I don't even mind the game playing. We have seen game playing actually work out quite well, especially in the early game. And to be fair to 3Z, he actually did quite well in the laning phase. That's definitely true. He's 2 waves ahead. Unfortunately, he just wasn't able to do anything. And I do want to talk a little bit more about the Trundle. I think the setup was just so interesting. I don't think I've ever seen this setup before. And the more I think about it, the more sense it makes, because if you look across Alpha Esports, none of their champions actually have dashes. So
Yeah,
the pillar is insane in that type of a situation.
Yeah, the change to Predator, I did want to mention it during game, but I kind of ended up forgetting about it. But the cooldown went down drastically, I believe, on the Predator effect. So that's why he's able to just basically run up and down the river nonstop. And you just become such a menace in gank scenarios. The moment you lose a summoner spell, the Trundle's instantly on the hunt. He's just a better work at that point.
I'm always really intrigued by these type of builds where you can change how the champion is meant to function by just changing your key runes and your summoners there. So really props to Hana for finding a Trundle build that I'm actually somewhat impressed by. He fell super far behind, but it was worth it for the rest of the team just to get ahead because of his contributions. We're going to take a look at the damage charts right here. Lil V really carrying J-Team towards this win. Was able to 1v2 quite comfortably in the bot lane for the majority of it, and it is shaping up as a must-ban against J-Team.
Yeah, this Ziggs pick is just so damn oppressive, and the issue is the champions that Alpha want to play into that matchup, like the Aphelios, just don't operate at the same range as Ziggs does. So you don't ever get to actually play the game if you are Aphelios, Karma, or even this Kennen.
Yeah, we just saw Lil V going dance baby dance, chucking whatever he had, and he also rotated extremely well, especially with the use of Herald. We saw a triple Herald charge onto the top side, which just completely expanded on the gold lead. I believe it was around 17 minutes, as you can see the spike being a little bit further accentuated there. And congratulations to Hana for taking out this super fun Trundle build. Did fall behind and was very gank-centric, but he got his team ahead, and that was all J-Team needed. 0-1 in 20, a 20 KDA game coming out from him. 71% kill participation, and at the end he was still ahead of K-Babe. So really fun build. I almost didn't think I would be able to say this, but I do want to see more of these Trundles pop up.
Yeah, this is basically just a modern day Nunu, and the idea is I'm just going to make your team as useless as possible. I'm not a great champion by design, but if I drag you in the mud with me, I've done my job. And that's exactly what he did this time around.
That's I don't know. All I can say is reality is incredibly harsh, and sometimes we can't all shine together. And sometimes it's about all sucking together, and that's exactly what Trundle will do for you. But that's going to be all for that game. Congratulations to J-Team for clawing one back and finishing the day with 1 win and 1 loss. We're going to head on to Liab versus Berjaya, where, just a small reminder, this was one of those games that Liab actually won in spring. So Filipino fans out there, keep your hopes up.